we had just taken on a small investment from an investor. And then it was like the next week, the account is gone. And I'm like, I have no idea what this means. I have no idea why it's gone. I have no idea where to go. And like, you saved Just Women's Sports. You're the one that figured it out. This is what I'm talking about. Of people who are just like, yes, random girl who like, I guess we went to the same school. I'll take your call. And yes, I'll help you out. And like, yeah, you saved JWS.
Hello. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of BFFR. Make sure you're following at BFFR Show on all socials and hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. So, I recently played my last ever game of soccer, and I actually got to play a tiny, tiny bit, which was great. And we had amazing Angel City fans in Chicago braving the cold alongside my wonderful husband, Lucas. And I got another Labubu. I traded my boots that I was wearing with Laura for this Labubu, and she requested that I open this box on the show. So obviously your wish is my command. I'm here for the people. I got my first ever Labubu at my last Angel City home game, and I love her so much, but I didn't open the box. She came in a cute little overall set with Angel City overalls. So this is my first time. And it's very funny thinking back to when I told Sid what a Labubu was, and here I am. So I'm just going to do a little ASMR. Labubu, Labubu. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Spendis on my team, she just likes opening them. She's like less into the actual Labubus. So it is really thrilling. This is a great ASMR. Well, actually, you tell me. Okay. Maybe it'll be a twin of my... Okay. Open the bag. I can see here that there are options here on the side. So it's going to be one of these 6 or potentially a secret one. And there are only 1 in 72 chance of getting the secret one. Okay, she's a little bit scarier, I feel like. She has heart eyes. She's Dada. Welcome to the family, Dada. Anyways, now that that's done, they can be friends here. Dada and Chicken. I'm so excited I was really excited for the Labubu. And I'm so excited for today's guest, Haley Rosen. We go way back. Fellow Stanford alum, just a legend. She is a big boss. She built one of the biggest platforms in women's sports. She's the founder and CEO of Just Women's Sports. Welcome to the show, Haley Rosen. There's nothing worse than standing in front of your closet before a holiday party thinking, I have nothing to wear. This happens to me a lot. I swear, every single year, 9 times out of 10, I just end up wearing the same outfit from last year. But this year, I decided to try something new. I booked a free styling session at Macy's, and honestly, total game changer. Their personal stylists are like your fashion hype squad. You tell them the vibe you're going for, and they pull together pieces that make you feel like the most confident, put together version of yourself, even over the holidays. I ended up with a cozy sweater and skirt combo I never would have tried or found on my own. The stylist even pushed me to try a few accessories I wouldn't normally go for, and now they're my favorite part of the outfit. The best part? It's totally free. You can book a session online or in store, and you get 20% off your purchase from your first session. Oh, and while you're in the shopping mood, don't forget Macy's Creative Deals is happening now. There's a brand new deal every single day through Thanksgiving, so you can grab amazing offers on jewelry, skincare, fragrances, and accessories to complete your look. Let's be honest, the holidays are amazing, but they definitely throw off my routine. Between the travel, the food, the dessert, lots of dessert, I'm not exactly crushing my whole balanced diet thing right now. So having rituals essential for women 18 plus in my daily lineup gives me some peace of mind. It's got 9 key nutrients in just 2 delayed release capsules. It's such an easy way to keep my body in check, especially when my meals are more stuffing and less spinach. I started taking Ritual a while back because I wanted something simple, trustworthy, clean, no shady ingredients, and it doesn't upset my stomach at all. I take mine first thing in the morning and I'm good to go. And honestly, I love that minty essence. It makes it really nice. Now's the time to try it. Ritual's Black Friday sale is officially here. Instead of striving for perfect health, aim for supporting foundational health. BFFR listeners get early access to their Black Friday sale for 40% off your first month at ritual.com/BFFR. That's ritual.com/BFFR for 40% off your first month. Don't miss out on their best sale of the season. Hey!
Hey, Allie. I just got nervous. We were having a good chat. Now I'm being weird.
Well, you shouldn't feel nervous because you're right at home here. I got my throwback. Forgot how good I looked in purple.
You know, you do look good in purple. Should we talk about that?
Although yours looks really nice too. And I also loved I'm like the ultimate hype woman here. I loved there was like the pastel blue and the pastel purple Just Women Sports merch.
I have them behind me for you next time I see you. And we're relaunching a bunch of merch, so get excited. So hype it up a little more.
Hey, you heard it heard first. You heard it here first, maybe. Also, Haley, do you remember it was exactly a year ago when Lucas and I came down to see you and your fam, and it was the World Series, and the Dodgers were playing, and I wore my Dodgers jersey. Do they say jersey in baseball? I don't know. And people were like high-fiving me.
Wait, that's amazing. So we just won it back. So you guys have to come down. We have to do another breakfast.
We have to come down so I can high five with Dodgers fans.
No, you really do. There's so many. I'm in the South Bay and there's so many just sports fans here and it's so fun. But you do actually need to come see Mason. He's like a full human now.
Well, he would be
a potato.
Yeah.
And now
he would be a whole year older now because I haven't seen him since.
No, you need to. It would be really fun
Crazy.
to view the baby fever.
Well, speaking of, I'm going to just go straight into how you are running a business. You created Just Women Sports. Obviously, Haley Rosen, big boss, Stanford alum. I'm a huge fan, but she's also my friend. And you have this adorable baby who I melt whenever I see him. And I'm not like a big baby gal, but Mason and I shared some moments when I was down visiting you. How are you doing and how do you do it all? You couldn't stay late enough for my retirement party festivities. So we're going to have to run it back at the championship weekend. But how are you and how is everything going and how do you do it all?
Allie, thank you. It's really, really sweet. And thank you for this question. I definitely don't do it all. Mason is the best. You really do need to come see him because again, he was just like a little baby blobby, but in the cutest, most snuggly way. And now it's like, he is about 16 months now and he's just like a full, like you see his personality and it's the best. It's total craziness. Like my husband has a startup too and it's just like our house is chaos all the time, but it's like the best. And like, I don't know, family is the most important thing to me. And there's been something like just so, I don't know, it's incredible. It's crazy and we're tired and we're stressed. I've never been like more like this is amazing and like, oh my God, this is so hard. Like at the same time, I don't know. I don't have anything new to say about parenting. I just think it's really fun and really fulfilling. That's my whole thing. And I tell everyone to have kids. Every time I see Lucas, I'm like, let's go. Like it's time.
She truly does. And I know I have said it kind of in my retirement, tearful speeches, podcasts, whatever, but we are hoping to transfer embryos in the beginning of 2026. So I don't know.
How does that feel? How do you feel about it?
I think probably a lot of people who have done IVF feel the same way where we have these 4 embryos on ice and it feels like that could be our only chance. So I'm like scared to get my hopes up, but I do want to be really open through the process like I have with the embryo freezing and just the IVF process. But the stories I read from just amazing women all over the world. I did this pregnantish podcast, and just how families can be made in so many different ways. And I think it gives me hope, but also I guess I don't want to get my hopes up, which I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people probably feel that way when they're trying to start a family and they want to.
Yeah. And that makes sense. And I appreciate you sharing that. I feel like it's interesting with like, I mean, I'm so type A. I feel like you are too. And like love to plan and organize and
Yes.
have all these things and control it all. And it's like starting a family is really one of those things like you can't control. Like you have to just like hope for the best and put yourselves in positions of like to make it happen, but like can't control it. And it's hard. I think it's hard. Yeah. It's one of the many things I feel like this is why this whole journey is so crazy. It's like you really just like it's a full like life, just like experience that comes at you very quickly.
Yeah. And I think growing up you think, "Oh, man, woman, sex, baby," like, and then the chaos starts. And of course, I there's so many different ways a family can look, and then also how you make a family. But um, I never really thought about how the logistics, and especially being an athlete, and then going through IVF, and just the statistics, and it is not that kind of romantic, super straightforward process that I think maybe we're led to believe from movies and media when we were younger. So I've learned a lot, but connecting with other women, other moms, obviously Sid and my teammates now Claire Emsley, and having her on BFFR was unreal, and seeing her go through this, but also you as well, and to just see what you're doing with the business. And we have some good stories. I have a little throwback sticker here from
I love that. I have
Off
that
the
too,
Ball.
somewhere in my desk here. I love that. How long ago was that? 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
This was this sticker was from 2021. This is when I was in Orlando. This was season 1.
That is vintage right there.
This
How does
yes,
it
this is
feel looking at that?
I I guess I still look the same.
You do. You look exactly the same.
But I think what I really think about is just women's sports, and we'll talk about how it started, but now, I mean, I'm 1 day into retirement when we're recording this right now, Haley. So, thinking about
Come down to Manhattan Beach. Let's get some
I'm coming. Um, what I wanna do and the opportunities I have, I truly couldn't have had all of this or be experiencing what I am now if it wasn't for not just the business that you created, but also taking a chance on me and wanting to work with me. We both went to Stanford, but we did not overlap. I am a little bit too old, but you just were always such a huge source of support, and that you really believed that I had something and people might want to watch me be silly and be myself, and that gave me a lot of confidence. And I think looking at this sticker and thinking about where Just Women's Sports has gone since 2021, where how far I've come, what's happened since 2021, what's happened in 2025 alone, but it is, I don't know, it's really special. It's kind of surreal, right?
Yeah. Allie, I mean, you're being so sweet. you're saying so many nice things. I don't know how to handle it. Here here's how I was thinking about this before I hopped on, and I was thinking, like, people ask me a lot, like, "What's your favorite part about Just Women Sports and the work you do?" And I always say it's, like, getting to connect with amazing people, and, like, Allie, like, you are sincerely top of that list, like, your reflections on, like, "We gave you a chance," like, I feel the same way, like, when I met you, like, it was very early days, there was no master plan, it was, like, a very small team, and there was so much of, like, I don't know, like, "Let's just try and let's see," and you always were like, "Yes," and with a smile and good energy, and of course, there was bumps and, like, feel like we took it in stride together and we, like, tried a couple things, and I don't know, I just, like we wouldn't be Just Women's Sports. I wouldn't be where I am. This company wouldn't be where we are without folks like you, like, sincerely, and, like, I don't know, like, I think about they say, like, it takes a team, and we have, like, an amazing team here. I think in a lot of ways, like you've been one of those teammates too, of just like being willing to say yes and try and advocate for us. So I don't know, like feeling is very mutual. I think the world of you. I'm like so excited for your next phase. I was so excited. Everything you did at Angel City was just like incredible. Like I just you're just like you're wonderful, very high caliber person. I feel very fortunate that our paths have crossed and like I'm excited. I'm just excited for you.
Thank you, Haley. Well, that means we need to get into the story of how Allie Riley saved Just Women's Sports.
You know, you texted me that and I didn't remember. Now I'm remembering. So how do you want to do this? You want me to tell?
Okay, well, I think the best way to segue in here is to talk about first how you started Just Women's Sports. Why? And why just women's sports? What was the idea behind this? And how did you realize that you made it? Which I think is kind of funny because that really leads into why you almost didn't make it because things were getting so big that someone wanted to take you off the internet.
Yes, yes. Well, I mean, so my story I think is like very similar to a lot of folks that work in this space. I played soccer, played in college, played professionally for a little bit, and just saw that like people really liked what we were doing. And I always share this, and like I was at Stanford during the Luck era. And like our football team, very different than today. People liked football and they really rallied for football games. Right after the football team, it was the women's soccer team. Like people were amped. Like I feel like your class, Allie, like really got it all going. And by the time I got there, it was like women's soccer was like a thing people were excited about. But I just share this say, like, I just felt like I saw a lot of data points of like people genuinely being into and excited about women's, my experience was women's soccer, but like more broadly, women's sports. When I stopped playing, I started working in tech and like was just like a total, like just a fan. And I say this all the time. I'm a sports fan. I've been a long time Lakers and Dodgers fan. Go Dodgers.
Woo!
But I just like wanted to follow like, there's a lot of former Stanford players playing in the NWSL. Like I had friends that were playing in different leagues and like it was just very, very hard to follow along. And that just seemed very weird and off. And so the whole idea was like, let's just cover women's sports. Like it's, like what you see on the internet, a House of Highlights, a Bleacher Report, but just women's sports. And that's how we got the name. Early days, it was very confusing for people because they were like, just women. It was like, no, just women's sports. And it was like women in sports, just women in sports. No, just women's sports. Like I like it's crazy thinking about that. Like I remember getting a lot of pushback on the name. And I was like, this name could not be more just like on the nose. Like this is what it is. And yeah, the whole thing started as an Instagram account where I really didn't know much about media or rights or any of this and was basically just like grabbing highlights and posting them and just like using, talk. I always said like the voice we were using, the voice. I didn't have that like language yet, but like the way we were like, by we, I mean me, was cap clips was like just like how I would send it to someone in like a text. And it just started like really growing really quickly. It went from like 0 to like 30, 40, 50,000 followers like really quickly. And I didn't know anything about social at that point. So like for me, that was like super validating that there was something here until I woke up one day and there was no Instagram account. And then cue Allie and Haley's relationship.
So I also didn't know anything about social media except probably like you posting things. And if a lot of people liked it, you were like stoked. So Haley and I connect. I guess, did you get my phone number or you emailed me? I think
I it was
because,
like
or you DM'd me from your personal account.
I DM'd you. I think like I really
I'm
slid
going
it
to look for it.
slugged in those early
I'm going to look for it. And like we must have crossed paths, although
I don't think so,
I don't know when it would have been because I came back for my 5th year, but you still weren't at Stanford yet. So yeah. So Quan was a senior when you were a freshman?
junior when I was a freshman.
Junior. Okay. So yeah, we missed each other by 3 years. But I knew who you were and I got this message and we got on the phone, I think, but you said that Chelsea had filed a complaint and reported the account. So that's why Just Women's Sports was erased from the internet. And I'm in London playing for Chelsea. And I don't know what this means. I don't know why you can't just post things from other whatever. And you were like, it was just something that was going around. It was a goal. It was some like great moment. And I'm just like, I don't know, but I'll ask. Like I had been injured and had the amazing blessing of working with the social media team at Chelsea. And they were so good to me. And I loved being involved even when I wasn't on the field. And so I could just ask around and say, do you know what happened? And like connected you to someone. And
They rescinded. They rescinded the complaint and we got the account back. I honestly, like, reliving this story is giving me so much anxiety all over again, and, like, I feel like at that point, I had this account had been growing, but all we had was an Instagram account, and I was, like, running around being like, "Guys, see, people care about women's sports. We're gonna do this. We're gonna build this media company," and we had just taken on a small investment from an investor. And then it was like the next week, the account is gone. And I'm like, I have no idea what this means. I have no idea why it's gone. I have no idea where to go. And like, yeah, you saved Just Women's Sports. Like, I mean, I still think I was always like cautiously optimistic we were going to like figure it out. But like, you're the one that figured it out. This is what I'm talking about. Of people who are just like, yes, random girl who like, I guess we went to the same school. I'll take your call. And yes, I'll help you out. And like, yeah, you saved JWS. I forgot. I bottled that story up. That
this was a BFFR moment for all of us here. But I'm sure you would have seen Just Women's Sports back on the internet without me. But it was just such a funny start to our relationship when then fast forward a few years later and I'm in Orlando and we're starting to have conversations about working together and having a show and seeing each other more regularly. And I just always thought about how we had this call when I was in London and then
But
your
this shit
panicked
is
messages.
crazy. That is a
Yeah.
fun start. Yeah, yeah. There's been early days, man. There's been a lot of stuff.
Did you ever think about calling it anything else?
It's funny because I didn't think that deeply about the name. It literally was like was like thinking, like all these sports accounts, but Just Women's Sports. I couldn't think of a name, so I grabbed Just Women's Sports. But then I became really attached to it. Like there were so many people that were like, you can't name it that. It's too wordy. People were confused about it. But like then I started getting, I don't know if I just started being stubborn or if it just started like feeling good for me, but I was really like, no, we got to call it this. I also had felt like we with that Instagram account, which is silly because it was at like, less than 50,000 followers at the time. So this was not, it felt like the end of the world. It would not have been. But I also felt like I was like, we had like this lightning in the bottle around this like name and concept and this early community. It was like a lot of the early followers of that account were athletes, which I thought was like really
Yeah.
special. And so like, I was like, I don't want to lose this. Like, so anyways, thank you. I owe you.
That's not why I wanted to tell the story, but you're welcome. Um, I I remember following it and I just obviously I'm reminiscing and reflecting on everything and I get asked the question so much about how much has women's sports changed since you started and even since getting drafted and since coming to the NWSL because it is changing so quickly. But we just always, I think, have supported each other, women
Yeah.
and women in sports and just athletes. I think speaking to Shanae and Ari Chambers a couple weeks ago, just about the collective voice and how social media connected all of us who
Yeah.
have these
Yeah.
passions and this conviction and just this belief that even if these other people aren't getting it, we get it. We see you. I want to know what's happening in women's volleyball. I want to know in college lacrosse. I want to know if a new league is being formed, if women in this league, they're not getting paid what they deserve. And so that was one of the first accounts and it grew so quickly, I think, because it's not just fans. It is all of us who really, really believe in each other. And you did that. You connected all of us. And now you're seeing through all of our voices how when basketball needs to push, when the NWSL needs to push, that we are connected and you can't silence us and you can't hide what's going on. And that's what's been one of the amazing things about Just Women's Sports. And now what's so beautiful is, of course, you still use your platform to share when it's like a cry for help or you need to expose something that's going on. But we're seeing so much more of the positive success stories and the celebrations. And if anything, I mean, I'm just thinking if you post something about Caitlin Clark, you post something about Angel Reese, it's like you're taking a side. When you think when we're having this conversation about starting this Instagram, it's like no one even knew anything about any of us at all. And now it's like there's a room for all of us and there's these rivalries. And then, of course, things get taken too far. But for you being right there, from it being your account to where you are now, what have been the biggest changes? What has been like a crazy, oh my God, we've made it moment? Like some of the viral moments, what is that like? It's so different now.
Yeah, yeah. It is so different now, and I'm like, really curious to ask you that question, just being an athlete on the inside of it. From my point of view, I think, we started in 2020. In 2026, we'll be both 6 years old. I do think the first few years, I've said this to so many people, but I felt like we were like banging on the door, like saying, this is happening. People care. Like you could feel this momentum and you could feel that this industry was building, but I felt like the door hadn't opened yet. I feel like a year ago, the door opened. And what I mean by that is like, I think women's sports has hit an inflection point. And I think what we're seeing is like this groundswell of interest and excitement and audience and athletes that have been interesting and breaking through for a long time. It's all going to a new level. And it's happening in, they say it's like slow, slow all at once. That's how I feel about women's sports. And I think that's like really, really exciting. And I think that what you see a couple things. Like one, I think what you said around the storylines shifting, I agree with that. And I think it's really interesting where the only women's sports story that ever got attention was like sort of these advocacy stories, because that was the headline that like there's a period of time where like the athletes had to advocate for safety in the league. Of course, that should be a national story. It was,
Yeah.
U.S. women's national team fighting for pay equity. Like
Yeah.
these were really important milestones that absolutely deserve that attention. But that was it. That was like the only story being told. Where I do think we're seeing what's happening on the court, what's happening on the field is starting to break through. And that is, to me, is really, really exciting and kind of points to this new future because for me, it's always been like these women are the best athletes in the world competing at the highest level. I remember when I played professionally briefly and in college, like just thinking the women I was around were like amazing and interesting and fun and like, just like cool. And like it was like so fun to be a part of it. And I think now we're seeing those personalities shine brighter and get more attention. And people are having that same feeling of like, wow, these athletes are really cool and interesting. So I think we are like in a new era of women's sports, and I feel tremendous urgency and pressure to take advantage
Mm.
of it. I say this
Mm-hmm.
one that like we're not like 1 yard away from finishing this. We are on the 1 yard line. We are just starting this journey. And it has started with people being excited, but we have to build and we have to build this infrastructure. We have to recognize the gaps and we have to move quickly because this is a moment and attention moves quickly and we have attention right now. What are we going to do with it as an industry? How do we keep building? And so I think it's a really exciting time. And I also I feel that pressure in a good way that it's like, game on, like, here we go. How do you feel?
Amen. It's so interesting because we talk a lot about the past. But I made this point recently. It's not to dwell on the past. It's not to say, oh, when I was your age, or you need to appreciate what I've done, what the women before me did, and be grateful for what you have. I think about the past to see how far we've come. And that gives me energy and fuel because we need to keep pushing the hell out of this thing because like you say, there's opportunity. We need urgency. we have arrived in terms of the eyeballs are on us and investment is coming. But what we do with this moment could determine what women's sports looks like. And if we can get inch closer to equality and equity and players getting paid and the resources and standards that they deserve, we need to move. I feel exactly the same way. And that's why I'm like, we can use the past and we can use the lessons we've learned to celebrate. That's
Yeah.
what I want to do, to empower the athletes that are starting their careers now, who are experiencing things that I never did. But that's not to say now you should be content. It's now you have the world looking at you. What are we going to do with that so that it's even better for you when you're 38 and still playing,
Yeah.
or for the women who come after you? So I love your messaging. I'm so glad that you get a chance to use your platform and to, I mean, I see you all on these lists of the most amazing women ever in the universe, and you're always pushing and just saying it's not about, yes, of course we're grateful. Yes, of course this is amazing what we have achieved, but we got to keep it moving. It is so important. One thing that you and I have talked a little bit about, and it could be, not could be, it will be a way to keep things moving. And it's funny how many people have brought this up to me recently. And I am curious, the next time someone brings it up, I'm going to ask kind of what sport are you watching, or who are you watching where you don't think this is happening? But how in men's sports, you have a lot of, obviously, there are way more channels and networks. You turn on the TV at any time of the day and you've got men playing darts and playing cornhole, whatever the F they want to play. And you rarely see women prime time. But men seem to have no qualms with being brutally honest and critical
Yeah.
about the other men who
Mhm.
are on the field or on the court. We are maybe starting to see that. You hear it a little bit more in the commentary now in the NWSL than you did before, but I know this has frustrated you. Or you just feel like it is time to change the tone, or you explain.
Yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate you bringing this up, and I think the feeling is that, like, as the space evolves, what we need to, as the media landscape has to evolve as well, and of course, we need to cover the space, but we need to do it honestly and authentically. And honest and authentic means there are times where it should be celebratory and positive, and it also means there's times where it should be more critical. And I think as a landscape, we have been hesitant to be real and critical at times. And I actually think that does everyone a disservice, which is why this drum. And I do think, like, we just have to acknowledge that when, female athletes were barely, my days of playing, like, barely making any money. There's not a lot there. It's like everyone's scraping by, just trying to figure it out, piling on like a ton of criticism. Like, it's just tough. That's like a tough thing to sign up for. But we are entering this new phase where, like, it's more professional. People are set up for opportunity. And so, like, I do think we as media companies need to become professional as well. And let me back this up. What I'm trying to say is, audiences can feel when people are being real and authentic. And if
Yeah.
we are unwilling to be critical of female athletes, we are unwilling to be real and authentic. And I think when you sit around and watch a game, what's fun about it is you're like, games are raw and exciting, and you're seeing people perform at the highest level, and things are working and sometimes things are not working. And so it's just, we have to be willing to have sports conversations, which means, like, should Allie be starting or not? Should this person be playing left back, or should they be playing center back? Like, these are conversations that happen when people are at a bar with their friends or on the couch watching, with people. And it's like, we need to bring those to public spaces, because that is a sports conversation. And if we have to cover women's sports like sports, that's what people get excited
Yes.
about. And so I don't think it's like that deep. I just think it's like, we have to be willing to have sports conversations in women's sports, and because that's what's fun about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, obviously you say it so well. And having been in this space and looking at going into media and covering the game and thinking about how do I want to be covered as an athlete? How did I want to be covered? How did I want to be spoken about? How did I want the games and the actions I made to be covered? And I'm not saying we need to do things like men. I think we can do things better than men. But I think about if I make a mistake on the field, I don't I don't take it personally. If someone calling the game says, she got beat, that led to this happening.
You gotta do better than that. Like, you know that. You know that.
Yes,
If it's just
yes,
like, look at her go and try hard, it's like, what are we talking about? Like,
yes.
you know?
And I think that is where understanding why it has been like that, like you say, how people talk about you and your relationships with your teammates and with your coach and how you feel at training, all of those things has meant so much to us because we haven't gotten paid. Like, so your relationships, and it hurts when people write things about you online because you're like, I'm doing this because I love it. And because and a lot of players have sacrificed so much to do this job. And that's one of this like interesting space as the sport grows and as there's more coverage, and with social media, which wasn't around when I was playing in college. One of my teammates was telling me about how there was some forum and all the fans, people watching games, would go on and just write whatever they wanted, and the players could all see this.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm thinking, maybe you shouldn't have logged in there. But I never had that pressure until I was an adult and more prepared
Yeah.
to handle it, and was working with a sports psychologist, and it was a conversation. Whereas these young players are getting thrown into it. So all of that, I think, is when a former player maybe is commentating, or we're in this space where it's like, are we still, can someone still, could this leave, could this all disappear? Like, could someone take this away from us if I say the wrong thing, or if I hurt someone's feelings? Is she not going to want to do an interview with me? Like, the respect and all of this has meant so much. I'm kind of just like rambling on because that is how it has felt. It hasn't felt like we could make jokes. It has felt
Yeah.
like we've had to have such
Like,
earnest and talk
serious.
about
Yeah.
the fight because people felt that we as women athletes were already a joke. So if I make light of anything, if I bring my own personality, which is obviously very joyful and I like to be funny, I can't do that because then someone won't take us seriously, and we are already fighting for that. So you have to be brave to kind of shift and go into this new mindset, I think, when covering sports. But the way you say it gives me so much confidence. And when I inevitably go into this space, I really hope that we players know it comes from a respect and
Yes,
wanting to elevate this game and all of these sports and just women's sports by being honest and authentic when covering the game, just like we are seeing players and athletes able to be authentic and be themselves. But it's still scary.
totally, totally. I think first off, I mean, I always say this to you. I mean, this is why I'm so excited for your future careers, and it's how I feel too. It's like I think someone like you love this category. You love women's sports, you love women's soccer. You are positive. You root for people, and also you can be real. And I feel like that's what I'm advocating for. To be clear,
Yes,
like we're not advocating
exactly.
just
Yeah,
toxic.
that was shit. That was terrible. Like, no.
Like, that's not what we're saying. It's just
Yeah.
like we have to have a real sports conversation. Of course, everyone in this space loves it and is rooting for everyone to do great. And also, there's times when it's not all rainbows and butterflies. And if we're not
Yes.
willing to say that, the audience can feel that. And then it creates this, I think, dissonance between like reality and what's being said that I think turns people off. And so I
Yeah.
am just advocating for we got to treat women's sports like sports and like let's have fun with it. And like, of course, like there is so much work to do. There's still a fight in front of us. And also there's just like a lot of cool, fun, exciting stuff that's happening. Like these rivalries are getting exciting. There's players that are stepping up. You look at the NWSL that like maybe we weren't talking about them last year. We're talking about them this year. Like stuff is like awesome. The other thing I was gonna say though too is I think we have come a really long way. I will never forget very early days of just women's sports. A thing that we really want to do in this ecosystem is make it really easy to be a casual women's sports fan, which means delivering news and making the information really accessible. And so very early days, I remember a player in the NWSL got hurt and it was a straight kind of like news graphic, like report, this player is out for 3 weeks with some injury. Standard sports. Like that is standard sports coverage. We got backlash for highlighting something negative that like it was like yeah. But
Wow.
but I say that as like we have come a really long way. And I think like the reason I call this out and you and I talk a lot about it too is just like I like when I look back at where things were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it's like this industry has grown leaps and bounds, and also we have leaps and bounds in front of us, and I think that is really exciting. Like, we're watching this whole thing being built in real time, and of course, there's gonna be tension as we're having moments of breaking through and entering new levels. I think that's okay.
How do you handle because as athletes, of course, we get criticism and then, if someone scores a goal because I make a mistake, that is going to end up on NWSL, Just Women's Sports, whatever. It's sports, it's news. But when you do get, because you still will, again, if I bring back some of these rivalries, if you post about someone, and you are, I know it's not you logging into Instagram anymore, but when you as Just Women's Sports get backlash for posting something, how do you handle that? What is that like? I haven't thought about it from like the other side.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like, over our years, like, there's been times where we have just, like, straight up made mistakes, and we've had to own that, and, like, we're learning as we go too. This whole industry is evolving, and we haven't gotten everything right. My point of view is like we have really clear principles, and what we preach internally is that like we want to make it really easy to be a women's sports fan. We want to deliver stuff in a very factual way, and we're going to, just kind of be black and white about news, and we're always going to speak like we are going to lean to what we said. Like we believe in the space, we're going to lean positive, but we're going to be honest. And I feel like for us, if we're hitting our values, we have to stand in that all day long. I will stand by posting someone is injured like all day long, and if we go over the line, then we have to own it and apologize. And like we are learning too. I don't think it's as, I think has been interesting for me having been an athlete. And when I was an athlete, I actually like really hated the media because I was like, all the media does is like stir the pot. And I don't like people
Yeah.
talking. And, they said this, but I meant it like that. Like, and now it's interesting being on this side that like, I really believe the media is such a critical role. It is this whole infrastructure. And it's like, without the spotlight, the sponsors don't come, the dollars don't get there, this whole industry doesn't work. And so the media is like providing the spotlight. And it's actually what I was going to say to your last comment too, is I think as the women's sports spotlight grows, that brings so much good, right? Like it
Yeah.
brings resources and our ability to
Yes.
professionalize all this. And it does bring the bad of being in the spotlight. People are going to think about these athletes and have an opinion, good or bad. Like that is part of the spotlight. And so for me, the way I kind of think about it is that's actually like this is a good thing that we're entering this space and this phase. We just need to make sure we're supporting athletes as this becomes truly a big business, because in the NBA and some of these other leagues, like, they have the infrastructure to support athletes. They have media training, they have con
Hmm.
like we have to just as we are entering, the big screen, the main stage, we just need to make sure we're supporting the athletes on that journey. That's how I feel.
Well, to wrap this up, a few questions here. I need to stop talking and everyone gets to get to know you a little bit. Haley,
Allie.
besides Just Women's Sports launching new merch, what is the most exciting thing happening in women's sports right now?
I think the most exciting thing happening in women's sports, this is a really maybe annoying answer, but it's like very tactical, is sponsors are actually entering the space, and that changes the whole machine. I'm not trying to say everything is about dollars and cents, but I am trying to say that, but without like sports, there's multiple lines of revenue, but sports really depend on sponsors coming in and believing and investing in big ways. That gets this whole flywheel going. Sponsors are coming. Some are here, but a lot are coming. And I always point to the stat that average WNBA viewership on ESPN was 85% of average NBA viewership on ESPN, roughly 85%. That's
Wow.
crazy, right? The audience
Wow.
here. But if you look at the sponsorship market, men's sports is at 600 billion, women's sports is around 2 billion. So less than 1%. I look at that as a crazy opportunity that is coming.
Yes.
The audience is here, and there's a tidal wave of capital that's going to enter this space. And again, it's not all about the dollars, but that is a huge unlock that can fuel this industry. And so I think that's really exciting. And I think everything we've been fighting for and advocating, if the dollars are really coming, this is going to be build time. And I feel that at Just Women's Sports. I hope the teams and leagues are feeling that as well. Like this feels like this is our chance to build this into the industry we know it can and should be.
Oh, that is very exciting. Come on, dollar signs. Who would you say are the top 3 biggest female athletes in the world right now? I know that's very hard because there are a lot of sports. So take that however you want with kind of top 3 biggest.
I think the WNBA had like a phenomenal season. I think the impact that Caitlin Clark has had can't be understated. I think what Angel Reese has done cannot be understated. Um, and then I just like you just like look around the I mean, I might say number 3 is Stud Buds. Like
Yeah,
what they have done together was incredible. And so
honestly.
I'd love to throw in some soccer players there. I think honestly that list for me is all W players right now.
Fair. That's fair. Ooh, if you, Haley, could cover one women's sports event live anywhere in the world,
Me,
what would it be?
like
Yes.
I'm a commentator.
You're a commentator or you're sending Just Women's Sports there, but just what is this? What is the event maybe that has been elusive or you haven't been able to get there or maybe you have. Maybe it's the NWSL final. What do I know?
I think we're, like, pretty fortunate that, like, we work pretty closely in the sports that I, like, love. Like, listen, I'm a soccer girly. I love all NWSL. NWSL Championship weekend is so fun. We covered WNBA All-Star really extensively this year. That was awesome, so fun. I'd like to do more around the US Open. The US Open is
Ooh,
that's probably the one
yes.
that I feel like we could do more there.
Okay, well, let's go there next year. Ooh, okay. To end the show, what is your favorite women's sports moment of all time?
Oh, Allie. That's a big question. Oh my gosh. Um, wow. Okay, I'm gonna tell a personal one because
Please.
I had so many, like, 2019 World Cup moments just, like, flash because I do think that was, like,
Mm.
such a breakthrough moment in women's sports where all of a sudden all these people were like, "Wait, women's soccer is, like, cool." And we're like, "Yeah, we've been telling you."
Yeah.
I think about, like, early me watching Mia Hamm, like, I just remember national team games at what was the Home Depot Center, but I will tell you this is very personal, when I think you played for them, the LA Soul? No? Yeah.
So we would go and train with them with Pally Blues, and we all were hoping to get drafted, and then only one of us did. It was not me, and then the team folded that
Who got
offseason.
drafted to the Soul?
I wanna say it was Nikki Washington.
Okay. I remember watching an LA Soul game. My dad we used to go to Galaxy games as a family, and we went to an LA Soul game, and I just remember, like, I was, like, super into soccer, loved Mia Hamm, but I was, like I had been to the stadium so many times watching the Galaxy, watching the men, like, this LA team, and then all of a sudden I was there watching this LA women's team, and I just remember watching Marta and just being like it was like my mind exploded of, like, this is I wanna do this. I want to do this, and I had been loving soccer, but I had never thought about it like that, and I just remember that moment, and honestly, that I don't know, I mean, it was very cool when Angel City came back, and it was just like, "Wow, women's soccer is back in LA," like, that's I was like, "Should I get back out there? Is it time?" But that was, like, really, really impactful, and I think for me, that's, like, is a very driving that was, like, it drives my core beliefs of, like, there was nothing that anyone said, it was watching women be ballers on the field, like, just got me amped about women's sports and women's soccer and made me wanna do it, and it was that. That was the whole thing, and that's where for me, I'm like, "It starts on the field. It starts on the field." So anyways, that's probably my personal favorite women's sports moment.
Well, Haley, it was a pleasure. Also, how amazing that you were watching Marta and she's still bawling
It's insane. It's
today.
insane. It
Shout out to the GOAT.
No, truly. It's unbelievable. Vintage Marta, though.
Oh, truly. And reflecting back on Off the Ball and the show that Haley was able to put out there, Marta and I are having a concert in the shower room on Off the Ball. So if you missed that back in 2021, we are fully clothed, by the way, but it was for the acoustics. So if you do want to reminisce, check out Marta with the LA Soul. Check out Off the Ball with Allie Riley, season 1. Oop. And also tune into the NWSL playoffs. So that's all I'm like getting all the promo out there I could get. And Just Women Sports merch, of course.
I love it.
So Haley, see you in Manhattan Beach. See you at the final. Thank you for being you. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're amazing.
You're amazing.
All right, it's time for Add to Cart presented by Macy's, where each week I'll share one thing I'm loving right now. It could be a vibe, a trend, a person, a moment, and you can always find your faves at Macy's.com. This week, I'm adding literally a new wardrobe to my cart. I have been in Kansas City. I got to say goodbye and have a little send-off moment with my national team when New Zealand was playing the US. It was cold. Then moved on to Chicago with Angel City to play my final game. It was cold. And I will be headed to Connecticut next week to do some studio work for CBS. And I've heard Connecticut is cold. So I do not think my LA wardrobe of shorts, t-shirts, tank tops, and a random hoodie here and there is going to work for me. So yeah, it's time to upgrade my closet. Speaking of refreshing your wardrobe, it is officially holiday style season. So if you're like me and you always end up saying, I have nothing to wear, Macy's has you covered. You can actually book a free styling session with one of their personal stylists. They'll help you pull together full looks for parties, work events, or even your on-camera outfits. It's totally free and you get 20% off your first purchase. Go try it now at Macy's. It's a total game changer. All right, that's it for this week's episode of BFFR. A lot happened today. Thanks again to Haley for hanging out with me and Dada. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us at BFFR Show on all socials, and I'll see you next Monday.